In this chapter, we're going to look at the syntax for filtering of rows returned by a select clause using the where clause. In other words, what the where clause does is allows you to tell a select statement to return specific rows. It allows you to filter out the rows that you don't want and filter in the rows that you do want. Simple as that. Let's go and take a quick look at the syntax for the where clause on the select statement in the documentation. So I have the master book list. I'm going to go down and search for, again going through the drill down process to show you how it works, SQL language reference. I'm going to click the HTML link. I'm going to search for the select statement because that's where the where clause is. I'm going to click on select. And I'm going to scroll down to find the main section of the syntax diagram, and we're looking at the subquery, which is basically the query block. And I can click on this link. It'll bring this one up and it says select blah blah blah, select list all the columns from a table where clause. So now we want to look for the where clause. Click on the where clause link, and here it says where clause where condition. So let's go and click on the where clause link, and it gives us a description. From that point, you don't actually have a specific description under the select statement of the where clause, but you know where to find it. What you need to do is you need to go and look at conditions. A condition is a thing that says, okay, well, if this happens, then do this. It's a condition. On condition of this, do something. In other words, on condition of a certain state or situation, go and execute a certain where clause filter. And there are lots of them. There's all sorts of interesting things that you need to know about with where clauses. For instance, comparison. Comparison is all about, is something equal to something or not equal to something, and so on and so forth, greater than, less than. Then you have the basic logical conditions, which are and or a not. And will say if something is something and something is something, two cases are true, then you have a true result. Or is if either case is true, and not says if something is not true. Simple as that. This is all the basic stuff. You also have null conditions where an expression is null or is not null. And you have something called between, which allows you to check a range if something is between something and something else. You also have exists and in, which are to do with subqueries that will be covered in the next course. That's the basic syntax. What I have is a diagram that I've drawn out that shows you the basic syntax in text format, which you can also find generally in the Oracle manuals, where if you go down to something like this and you hit this link that says description of illustration, etc., and it gives you an expression, tells you what you can do. What I like to do is I like to draw it out like this. Here's the select clause, so you select stuff from a table, and then you say where something, column expression or expression comparison is equal to, not equal to something else. Again, an expression. Then you can say also and or not. What this is really telling you here is you can say where a column or expression compares to another column or expression. In this case, what we're actually doing is we're adding the schema and the table options and aliases and all the other little details that help you to actually not see what's going on in this diagram. So all I've done is I've basically broken this down into different pieces. This tells you that you can actually say where, generally expression, comparison, expression, and expression, comparison, expression. So you have basically two things. So you're saying above where expression, say something equals expression, and expression equals expression. I can type this properly. And obviously this can be substituted for something like or, as in implying that either expression could be true. In the case of and, you're saying that both expressions must be true for the entire expression to result in a true result. And this is just another variation, and so on and so forth. This one just basically takes out the and or not logical operators and includes the schemas and aliases.